Okay, guys, so today we're going to be talking about multi-step equations. This is going to be kind of a review day, and we're going to give you guys a short little quiz. So there's no worksheet to go over today, but we do have a little quiz that I'll give you after this. So here I have a couple of examples of multi-step equations, and remember that we have our general steps that we follow when we're solving multi-step equations. Okay, we want to distribute first, then combine like terms, then move the variable to one side, and then finally we would solve. If we do those first three steps, generally you're only going to be left with a party problem. So, unless it's one of those party blobs, which is still kind of a party problem, but that's another situation. Anyway, so let's look at our first example over here. So this one right here. We have -3 plus 4 times 5n minus 5 in parentheses equals -23 plus 7n. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute, right? So we have that 4 in front of the parentheses. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see is a lot of students try to combine -3 and 4 first before they start. That is a mistake. You can't combine those two. They're not like terms because that 4 is multiplying with an n and with a -5 there. So it has to multiply first. So we're going to distribute that 4 first thing. Okay, that's going to give me -3 plus 20n minus 20 equals -23 plus 7n. Okay. Now our next step is to combine like terms. So I don't have anything on the right, but on the left, I have that -3 and -20 that can combine to become -23. So that would give me 20n minus 23 equals -23 plus 7n. Okay, next step is to move the variable to one side. Doesn't matter which one I move. I can move the 20n or the 7n. Doesn't matter which one. Again, to move a variable, it's just like any number. You would add or subtract it. You only would divide if you're trying to separate the number from the variable. But let's say I want to move that 7n. Since it's a positive 7n, I would start off by subtracting 7n to each side. So minus 7n would give me 13n minus 23 is equal to -23. And now it's a party problem, right? I've got a best friend and acquaintance. I move the acquaintance first. He's negative, so I'm going to add 23 to each side. And that would give me 13n is equal to 0. Still not quite done. Got to get the n by itself, so I'm going to divide by 13 because it's multiplying. And if I have nothing and divide nothing 13 times, I still have nothing. So n is equal to 0 would be my answer. Not too tough, right? Again, once I distributed, combined like terms, and moved the variable, it just became a party problem. So it looks a little intimidating, but once you actually do those first three steps, which aren't necessarily hard steps, it gets pretty simple pretty quick. Okay, let's look at one more problem. So this one, again, I'm going to follow those steps. I'm going to start by distributing and then combining like terms and then moving the variable, and then it should be a party problem with that. So looking at this, I see two sets of parentheses. So this second set has a -3 in front, so I'd distribute the -3. This first set just has a negative. Anytime you see just a negative or a subtract inside of a parentheses, it is distributing. It's just distributing an invisible -1, right? That minus symbol needs to go to each of these terms and basically just changes the signs. If it was positive, it becomes negative. If it was negative, it becomes positive. So -1 times x is -x, right? -1 times -3 is +3, so I have that +3 there. And then I still have that plus 5x on that side. And then distributing the -3, I'd get -3x. And then it's a -4, so it becomes +12. Then I still have that plus 8x. Okay, next step is to combine like terms. So I've got a set of like terms on each side. On the left, I've got the -x and the 5x that are going to combine to become 4x, right? -1 plus 5 is 4. And then I still have that plus 3. And then on this side, I've got that negative 3 and that 8x, which are going to combine to become 5x. And then I still have that plus 12. Okay, not too tough so far. Next step is to move the variable. Again, doesn't matter which one I move. I personally like to move the smaller number, so I'm going to move the 4x. It's a positive 4x, so I'm going to subtract 4x from each side, which gives me 3 is equal to x plus 12. Now it's just a one-step equation, and the last step would be to minus 12 from each side, and you would get x is equal to a negative 9 for your answer. Okay, again, it looked pretty complicated when I started, but by the end, it was probably easier than the first problem, right? So again, this is a quick review of the multi-step stuff that you guys have already gone over this week, and then make sure you do that quiz from today.